do the Giants, after the trade deadline, after everything that we've said, do they have a shot at the wild card spot? I don't think they're going to win the division. I think that's kind of out of – they're 10 games out. It's not impossible, and the Dodgers are like getting hurt even more. But I'm just going to say I think the Dodgers, even though they are injury prone and stuff, I think it's a lot. It's a big feat to overcome because you have Arizona in the way and San Diego also in the way, and then obviously the Dodgers. So I'm just going to say wild card here.
No, I don't think the Giants have a chance to get to the wild card. They, even in the division, they've got two teams that are better than them, that are better shaped to make a wild card push than the Giants. The Giants were 24 hours above 500 for the first time since June, and now we're back under 500 again after yesterday's fiasco. And the one thing that you don't have any questions about with some of even the teams in our division, well, I'll just say the Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks, is they actually have solid pitching. And the Giants can't hang their hat on that. I would like Padres, they don't have the pitching strength that they did last season because they don't have Snell anymore, but still, like
Darvish is out right now.
Well, and then they also just traded for, I believe his name is Tanner Scott, who's been on a tear. He was the relief pitcher of the month last month. So he's not losing them any games, that's for sure. When we can't say the same thing for our bullpen, because don't tell me that anytime we throw out any of the Tyler twins, we don't get a little nervous about what they're going to do in the next inning and a half that they are responsible for before Duvall. And Duvall, even though he's a heater, he also will give it up
too. Yeah.
Like pretty
when
often.
When he's wild, he gives up a lot of walks, and then he finds the middle of the zone, and these guys are teeing off.
Right.
Yeah.
Our bullpen this season collectively has blown 14 saves, and that's not a huge number, but it's not a number you like to see.
That's a big number. That's a big number. Yeah.
Duvall has 4 by himself. Now, granted, out of 25 appearances, he's closed 24, saved 21 of them, excuse me. So he's only blown 4. But still, though, in the Giants' bullpen rotation, that's a lot of games we've missed out. It's not including runners that we've left in scoring position, and that's runs you leave on the base. And I just don't see the Diamondbacks, granted that they were in a slump earlier this season, they kind of climbed their way out of it. Same thing with the Padres. They've been getting hot right after the All-Star break. I just don't see a world where the Giants can keep up with them. And that's not even including any of the other NL teams that are above them that we'd have to scurry and fight for a spot. So I don't think the Giants have anything that they can do to get themselves in wild card position. They'd have to pray for the Braves to fall off. They'd have to pray for the Mets to fall off. The Cardinals got hot and they're starting to come alive, and they've been dead in the water all season. So I just don't see how the Giants can make really any sort of push. And even if they do, I don't know if our pitching can maintain that. I mean, we are one injury away in our pitching rotation to being absolutely screwed. So I just don't know if that's even possible for us this season for the wild card.
So I'll go the opposite way. Even though I think I'm more on the side of I don't think they will. I think it's a lot to overcome San Diego. It's a lot to overcome Arizona, and then the other teams that you had mentioned as well. There's a lot to overcome, and we're only 5 games out of a wild card contention. But if we're still at that same spot in September, it's even harder to make it. Just being 5 games out, it's so hard. So we at least have to make ground. But I do think, having said everything that we said, I do think we do have at least a shot. Because our as much as I've been complaining why would we get rid of Alex Cobb, for all intents and purposes, our starting pitching is really good if everyone stays healthy. Or if everyone stays doing what they're doing. Okay, Snell is on a heater right now. Robbie Ray, he's still kind of getting in form a little bit, but he's going to be fine. Logan Webb, he's pitching really well. Kyle Harrison, ever since he's come off the IL, he's been really dealing. Jordan Hicks has kind of struggled. Hayden Birdsong has kind of struggled a little bit, but we've seen what they can do. And so I think if the starting pitching can stay consistent, that gives us a chance to win automatically. And then Patrick Bailey has been hitting and a solid catcher back there. Lamont Wade Jr. has been okay. I actually still like Tyro Estrada, even though he's kind of struggled this year. Tyler Fitzgerald, as you had mentioned, is on a heater. Matt Chapman's been hitting really well this year. Conforto has actually had some. He's been a really good at bat player. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but his at bats have been really good. Whether he gets out, whether he strikes out, he's not like going up to the plate and swinging and missing 3 straight pitches and sitting down. He works the count really well, and it's a typical Giants player, basically. Elliot Ramos has been really good this year. He's kind of fallen off a little bit since the All-Star break, but so far he's still, playing really meaningful ball. And then Mark Canha is a good hitter. If Mike Yastrzemski is playing that day, Yastrzemski is still defensive wizard, and his at bats are a lot better than what they used to be. So, and then if we ever end up calling Luis Matos up, I really like Matos, even though he is a free swinger and he can at times. He reminds me of a righty Pablo Sandoval. He swings at some dumb pitches, but he's still learning. And Marco Luciano, we'll probably see him a few times as well. He's still learning the game as well. So our hitting is what I'm concerned about, which is why I wanted to keep Soler. But anyway, we're not going to hire from that again. But overall, we're a solid team. And Arizona is a solid team, but their great players that they had last year have taken a giant step back. And I'm saying Corbin Carroll. And I do also want to say, I told you also. I was on here saying I don't think Corbin Carroll is as good as what they're saying. I think me and Clark, when we were talking with Backseat Podcast, we had both agreed that Corbin Carroll is not as good as what they say he is. And right now, I'm not saying Corbin Carroll doesn't deserve to be in the major leagues, but all the hype that was on him, I had said he relies solely on his speed. And if they take that away, which they have this year, he is hitting under 220. He's not great. And so he has to get on base in other ways. And so Corbin Carroll he'll work at it. He'll get better. I'm not saying he's going to be this terrible player, and I don't think he's terrible. I'm just saying all the hype that was around him, I did not buy into it, and I had said it on here. So just want to say I told you so. Nana nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo. Yeah, and then you talk about the Padres. Like, the Padres are a good team. Dylan Cease has been really good for them. Fernando Tatis has been okay. Manny Machado has been great. Ha-Seong Kim has been good. Cronenworth has kind of taken a step back, which is kind of weird for me. Xander Bogaerts just came back from the IL. I can't think, and they're winning games right now. I'm not saying like they're a bad team, but I can see how they take a step back. I don't think they're as good as what they were last year, but right now they're on a heater. And if they continue that, they could make some good distance in the wild card race. So that's my only concern. And I bring all that up to say, I do think the Giants have a realistic chance of getting in the wild card. Getting past the wild card, I'm not sure. On a one-game win or go home type of a game, I don't think the Giants can overcome that. I think the Giants would be in the wild card and done. I don't think they move on past that. I think they need more. Juan Soto needs to be the focal point for the Giants. Whether we go far in the playoffs, I don't even care if we win the freaking World Series. Juan Soto needs to be the focal point for the Giants. They need to be doing everything they can to get Juan Soto, and they've already done the groundwork. Signing Bob Melvin, as I said, signing Blake Snell. Getting Mark Canha back as a Melvin guy, getting Matt Chapman back as a Melvin guy. The reason they're doing all these moves is setting up for, look at all these players who come back and want to play for Bob Melvin. I know that's what they're trying to do. I'm not dumb. So for me, it has to be Soto. Soto's got to be number one, and then you're going to have to get like a few pictures here and there because there's going to be some guys who are going to go. I don't know if Snell is going to come back because, like I said, Soto is going to have to be the number one guy. So Snell's going to have to kind of take a back seat. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think the Giants would be smart to try and re-sign Snell as well. But
and Chapman.
Yeah, I think Chapman has to opt out. I don't see him opting out, to be perfectly honest, but maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this is a question where would you sign Chapman to a long term? I would.
What are you talking about long term? What would be your?
I wouldn't say like a mega deal, like you're seeing like 10 years or anything like that.
Yeah, if it's 10 years, no.
I would say like a solid 5-year deal. Wow. You know.
I would say 3 years. I would sign him to a 3-year deal because I don't think he has that much left, and 5 years I think is kind of steep.
It's just really hard to find third base defense like what he has. That's my only argument. Is it's really hard to. I can understand the pitch, the hitting part of it. The defense though is really hard because I remember when we didn't have any defense at that third base line, and now he's kind of shored that up.
Yeah. And
I don't know if I ever want to lose that again. So I'm thinking you're going to have to retire in orange, man. You're not going nowhere. So
I'm with you. And he kind of reminds me a lot of Brandon Crawford, where we probably held on to him a little too long, but because Crawford was so skilled defensively, even though his bat was terrible. And I'm not saying Chapman's bat has been terrible, but I just feel like if we're going to sign him to a 5-year deal, it's really because of that. Exactly what you're saying. That corner is now sewn up.
Yeah.
I'm with you. All right.